Yo, I'ma need you to lock in, fuck niggas. What is up? This is the Simple Black Theory podcast, season 1, episode 1, and it feels good, guys. I want to thank a lot of people for telling me to do this. I got a little nervous, but fuck it, let's do it. We don't have a lot of leftist podcasts, and I believe that I can actually contribute something when we talk about these matters. And the whole point of the Simple Black Theory podcast is not only to try to make people understand the real things in life, but also break down the simple things in life. That's what we call Simple Black Theory. I'm about to bring my theories in here. And this is the first episode. And guys, you're going to see big changes along this podcast. I'm going to get more comfortable. We're going to get more into it. And I'm going to share a lot more of my personal life too. As you can see, I'm actually wearing me and my girlfriend's anniversary jacket. Apparently, it was National Girlfriend's Day. And I didn't forget. She actually wants to pick and choose the photos in my phone because she believes that I take horrible photos, and she thinks that when I post her up, it's horrible photos, which it's not, gang. I think they're beautiful. I think she's beautiful. So I wanted to get her permission to post her, but I completely forgot because I was doing other things. So, hey, baby, look, I'm wearing our anniversary shirt, so let's get into it. And today we actually have a really good episode. We're going to talk about a lot of important things. Sydney Sweeney. We're going to be talking about Donald Trump and his economy, Gaza and Islamophobia. There's just a lot of things that we got to get into. But first, if you are fucking with your boy, make sure you hit the subscribe button if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're watching this in any other places so far, we don't have it on all platforms, but I'm pretty sure you're hearing it on Spotify or Apple Music, and I appreciate you guys. Make sure you hit that notification if you're watching it on YouTube and other platforms. Make sure you subscribe as any way you can. Again, this is the first episode, and it's gonna get better, gang. I'm so excited. And the first thing I want to tell people is that there's a lot of things that I want to get into. There's a lot of things that I want to do for this podcast. Again, the whole point of this podcast is to highlight social issues, to highlight social justice, to talk about the politics, to talk about leftist ideas and bring it up into a nuanced sense, into an understanding of I was about to make up a word, to be more pragmatic, and you know what I'm saying? The whole point is to make everything easier for you when we talk about these things. So the first thing I do want to talk about is Sydney Sweeney and this American Eagle nonsense. Oh my gosh. Who's seen that ad? It was horrific. And if you don't know, basically, Sydney Sweeney is this actress, and I think she's known for Euphoria. My girlfriend loves that show. I was not a fan of it, but I'm pretty sure her character, I'm not a fan of it, but I know her character. That's hilarious. Her character actually sleeps with her best friend's boyfriend. Oh my gosh. And that's what makes great TV. Great TV, obviously drama, of course, but that's what her character is. And obviously she has a sex appeal that everyone is attracted to. I say everyone, she's not my cup of tea, but hey, she's conventionally attractive individual. So some people say she's conventionally attractive, whatever. But a lot of people see her sex appeal and see her as a new sex symbol. So she does this American Eagle ad, and in this ad, she basically describes, she basically defines what genetics are. She basically mentions how genes determine your hair color, your hair, and your personality. Then she looks at the camera and says, "My genes are blue," right? And then the narrator says, "Sydney Sweeney has great genes." Dog, what the hell is going on? First of all, American Eagle is mainly for the youth. It's mainly a youth brand. They make youth denim jeans. So obviously, when they make this ad, it's mainly catered to the youth. We also have to understand is that we live in the golden age of social media. I'm pretty sure that 95% of youth between the ages of 13 and 17 are on social media. And we have to understand that children are impressionable. They actually like engulf these things that we feed into them. So when they watch these things and they hear that these things are what makes a gene, and that the genes that Sydney Sweeney has makes great genes, then we start to question the people that don't have the genes that Sydney Sweeney has. Do they have great genes? And then we have a hierarchy of what makes great genes, and other genes horrible genes. And that's literally eugenics, guys. Like, I don't know why people sit here and pretend that eugenics isn't real. Like Sydney Sweeney's ad wasn't eugenics, when clearly it is. It pushes this idea of white supremacy. And what do I mean by that? First of all, when we look at Sydney Sweeney ad, which what I find hysterical is that there's allegations that Sydney Sweeney has also had work done. She had plastic surgeries and stuff like that. Now, these are allegations. I don't know if this is true, and I am not attacking the woman for this, because your body, your choice. You can do whatever you want when it comes to cosmetic surgery, when it comes to abortions, when it comes to all these things. You have every right? But at the same sense, how are you going to make a commercial about having great genetics if your look is coming from under the knife, supposedly, right? That's so unfair, because again, these children are impressionable, so now they're going to try to achieve these things that are quote unquote unachievable unless you go under the knife. And this is why I'm saying this is white supremacy, because let's look at Madam CJ Walker, the first black woman to make $1 million, the first black millionaire, not just a black woman, the first black millionaire in general. And this is a great thing, but the problem is she made her millions by turning black people hair into straight hair. And I always say that she turned nigga hair into white people hair. And the reason why I say that is because the idea of eugenics, the idea that these people have better genetics than other people, that we have to then, what's what I'm looking for? It's when you have to assimilate. There we go, gang. We have to assimilate into their culture. And this is why they say this is eugenics, but it's also assimilation in some sense. So, and this is a horrible idea. When we do talk about this. So what we have to understand is that when we talk about Sydney Sweeney, when we talk about American Eagle, they're doing this because there's an environment that Donald Trump created. Now, let's be honest, before Donald Trump was here, the environment was already here, but Donald Trump had this ability to make the silent majority the silent minority the loud minority. Do you hear what I'm saying? I'm dropping... No, I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say I'm dropping bombs. First of all, because I usually say that, but what's happening in Gaza and the use of military weapons to stop people, to deteriorate people, to do things that you want to do is so unfair. So I'm not gonna say I'm dropping bombs, but I'm giving out facts out here. You get what I'm saying, gang? I'm giving out facts. So obviously, and a lot of people from the right side of media sits here and says that people are jealous of Sydney Sweeney. Guy, Sydney Sweeney is nothing different than another white woman with quote unquote great genetics. And again, when I say great genetics, it's conventionally attractive people. My idea of a beautiful woman is my girlfriend. I'm hoping I put her up here. I gotta ask for her permission, obviously. But at the end of the day, the whole point of that ad should have been about the people and not about the individual. Because again, when we have a little black girl, she's gonna start to question. She's going to start to question if she's beautiful. She's going to start to question if her genetic makeup is great genes. And it is. We have to understand that black women, no matter what shape and size they are, black people in general, BIPOC people in general are beautiful. And this is the idea that we have to give. But people think this is leftist propaganda to say all people is beautiful, no matter the shape or size of you, is ridiculous and needs to get the freak out of here. But that's what I'm saying, and this is why we have to claim it as eugenics. But moving on. Again, guys, this is the first episode. I'm getting kind of nervous. But putting down in the comments how I did. Let me know what you guys think about these topics and such like that. But another thing that was funny is that Sydney Sweeney was actually on live, I think Instagram live, crying a couple days ago about the ad, and I think the ad was actually taken down off of YouTube, which is a good thing. But she was out here crying and stuff like that. But what makes this ridiculous is that she was talking about like, oh, she doesn't know what's going on. It's like, what are you talking about? You actually get the script. You actually read the script, and the narrator says everything there. You cannot think of anything but eugenics. You cannot think of anything but genetic makeup and what makes genetic makeup great. When you say that she has great genes and you're talking about her genes and or genetic makeup, we start to question this. You get what I'm saying? And I digress. I hope I'm making sense. But I also want to talk about something important, and it's going on with Gaza. If you don't know, guys, what's going on in Gaza is a horrible thing. I believe that the UN announced that 9% of children is facing malnourishment. 175 people lost their lives from hunger, and 93 of those people were children. This is a serious matter, and the reason why we got to talk about this is because this is happening in our backyard. We actually funded this, and what makes this crazy is that Donald Trump is saying that he gave Gaza $60 million, right? I gave them $60 million. No, you gave Israel $30 million, and Israel is not doing their damn job. Israel is trying to starve Gaza, and I believe it's a military tactic if I'm not wrong. But Netanyahu's sitting here and is saying that, oh, we're not starving the people of Gaza, but then there's videos, there's pictures, there's evidence showing that people are losing their lives from being hungry. But we have millions, tons of food being diminished each day. And this is horrific. This is something that has to be talked about. And since the destruction of Gaza, for some reason, there's an increase of Islamophobia. In fact, it's been recently reported that in March, there was a high record of anti-Muslim hate. Guys, do you see what I see? It's not making... Sorry, I need to get some water when I do these things, but it's not making any sense, guys. Like, how do we have a high increase of Islamophobia during the devastation of Gaza? It's so easy to happen because a lot of people, and it's a lot of people from the right, and hey, it's everybody. It's not even just people from the right. But it's this idea that Islam is just backwards religion, that people just want the Western ideology to die out, and that they want to diminish people and have their way of life. They want to force their way of life on people. First of all, if we look at America, and let's say this, a lot of people from the right are saying that America is a Christian nation, right? Let's pretend that's true, which is not true. But let's pretend that America is a Christian nation. Why are we number one when it comes to mass shootings if this is a Christian nation? I didn't think Christians like that. Why are we number one when it comes to mass incarceration? The main perpetrators for mass shooters are white. The main perpetrators for sexual assault, especially for kid pedos, are white. The majority of right-wing Republicans are Christian. The white Republicans identify, over 60% of white Republicans identify as Christian. So majority of these crimes, because over 60% of people that live in America are Christian. So majority of these crimes that are happening by Christians. So we can't sit here and say that Islam is a backwards religion, if Christianity has this. Let's look at, I was going to say Israel, but Israel is Jewish, but some sense of similarities there. It's not the same religion, but we know what we're talking about. So let's not sit here and say that Islam is backwards when Christianity has all these things happening. Sorry, and I'm just reading all these things. So when we say these things, that Islam is backwards, we have to identify, what about America? Because if America is considered a Christian nation, why we have all these problems? Because let's be honest, majority of these people are not outside the Christian ideology when they're doing these things. In fact, most terrorist attacks that happens in America are from right-wing people. And most right-wing people are Christian. And most terrorist attacks are based on white supremacy. Because people don't understand that the day and age that we're facing is literally white nationalism. That's why Trump was elected. White nationalism. That's why Islamophobia is so high. That's why transphobia is so high. That's why they want to erase DEI. That's why they make excuses for why DEI should be erased. And it doesn't make any sense. Lock in, fuck, nigga. Stop playing with me. And again, that's just crazy. Donald Trump claims that he gave $60 million, which is a lie, but the money that you give funding is not even going to the people that need it. You're giving it to Israel. We're not the United States, we're the United Israel. We're Israel plus. Israel plus the United States. And this is why we start to question our politicians when we talk about AIPAC. Fuck. What's wrong with you guys? Hey, this is the first episode, gang. Make sure you like, make sure you follow, make sure you hit that notification if you're watching on YouTube, guys. Thank you so much. There's a lot that we're talking about, and I'm getting emotional when we talk about Gaza. And first of all, shout out to Chris Smalls. He was one of the individuals. He was a black individual who went to Gaza, and he actually got beaten by the IDF. Fuck the IDF. You already know what I'm saying. But there's just things that we have to understand. Maybe I should edit that. I don't know. We'll talk. We'll see it. But I just want to talk about the rise of Islamophobia and what's happening in Gaza and the many children that's being forced into being hungry and it's just a serious this is a serious conversation that we're having. Next up in our agenda, guys, this segment I call politicking. Again, our podcast is gonna get better. I'm trying to get better at this, but we talking politicking. Donald Trump, what the hell he's been doing, and the first thing we gotta talk about is the economy, gang. Whoo, can we say horrible? Man, I am Haitian. So I want to think of a Haitian word. I want to say this man is sont, okay? This man is sont, bro. The economy is so bad. Economists are saying that we may be in the brink of a recession, and it looks like it. In fact, a lot of the great things that Donald Trump says that he's doing, in fact, isn't true. Apparently, and this is what I call Trumponomics, guys. This is Trumponomics, gang. What the hell is Trumponomics? It is the poor man's version of Reaganomics. We know Reaganomics don't work. We know Trumponomics don't work. But this is a few things that we have to highlight because Donald Trump, what the hell are you doing? First, he fired his U.S. labor officials over the job reports. Okay, if you don't know, last month in June, we found out that only 73,000 jobs were added to the government or to the United States economy, right? And that's not a good thing, guys. And the problem is that the last 2 months, we've been getting reports like over 200,000 jobs being added to the economy. That's not true. In fact, we had 200,000 less jobs over the last 2 months. Over the last 3 months, technically. Well, over the last 2 months, from the last 2 months, actually. And that's a bad thing because, and you know what? Over the months, I was finding that's kind of weird because the unemployment rate has been like at 4.1, 4.2. And I think currently it's at 4.2. It's at 4.2 right now. But the unemployment rate hasn't been going down, but we've been adding more jobs. So I've been curious about, I was like, how are we adding more jobs, but the unemployment rate is always staying the same at 4.1, going up to 4.2. And currently, as this podcast, because we get a podcast, happening, we're at 4.2. Which is horrible. And the inflation for June is at 2.7, which is, oh my gosh, guys. A lot of people, and this is bad because this means that prices are going to be increasing. And we may be looking at either shrinkflation or stagflation. Stagflation is basically, sorry, the camera said it was full because I record too much. But again, back to the topic. What we need to understand is that stagflation is basically when the price of the products are increasing, but our living conditions and our income remains the same. Our income doesn't change, but the prices go up. While shrinkflation is when the quality or quantity of the product diminishes while the prices still goes up, and this is what we may be facing under these conditions, under the Trumponomics that I was talking about earlier. And that's the scary thing about it. We also have to understand that the forecast for inflation is saying that by our second quarter, which is going to be in the next couple months, we may be in an inflation over 3%. Gang, that is not a good thing. Over 3% is not great, especially with these tariffs coming in. Donald Trump, his tacos, taco got extended for 90 days for Mexico. he's extending a lot of these taco tariffs mainly because he knows that America can afford not to have these products here, because we will see stagflation and or shrinkflation. I don't know if we can have both at the same time. We'll see. But this is just not a great idea. We also have, again, less products are coming into America, guys. This is not a good thing. This means that we are going to see prices going up for school supplies. We may be seeing that happening. Walmart and talked about their prices been going up. So a lot of these things are happening in our faces. But for some reason, the right thinks, oh, that's not happening, gang. Yes, it is. Another thing I want to talk about, guys, is the mass deportation. Mass deportation is another failure in a side of his bad economy. We're having a hint of a bust of a mass deportation, guys. Mass deportation was such a horrible idea. I don't know why he wanted to do mass deportation in the first place. It's not helping anything. Donald Trump claimed that the mass deportation was going to help with the housing crisis. That is not true. The housing crisis is still terrible. People are not buying houses. We're having our more people being homeless, but he wants to make homelessness illegal. How are you going to make homelessness illegal if the unemployment rate is terrible? And then we have the housing market being terrible as well. You're punishing people for your bad politics. It just doesn't make any sense. I was in a chat for Donald Trump, by the way. Another thing that's going crazy is that there's a hunger strike happening in Alligator Alcatraz. These people are done eating these nasty ass sandwiches that Alligator Alcatraz is giving. And a lot of people in the right are saying that, oh no, Alligator Alcatraz, they're eating gourmet food. How the hell they're eating gourmet food? How? The governor of Florida, DeSantis, literally said that we're giving them the bare minimum of what they need. They're just staying in there so they can fly out of there. So there's the bare minimum. They're giving them sandwiches with barely meat in there. And that's the terrible thing about this. So now they're doing a hunger strike. And we're hoping that people are not losing their lives in there, guys. And the scary thing about it is, if someone do lose their life, there's a good chance that it's going to get reported late. I'm sorry. I just think that's how Donald Trump and DeSantis run, right? And side note, DeSantis, you're a joke. You ran against Donald Trump, you lost, and now you're kissing the foot of the quote-unquote king. This is the Hunger Games, guys. You know, every time there's a presidency, Republicans will fight each other, and once they lose, they bow down. I think Democrats do it too, but we talking about Donald Trump, so I'm mainly focused on that idea. But it's just crazy how mass deportation is doing terrible. Sorry, guys. There's just a lot more information on here that I want to bring out. Guys, you know how expensive mass deportation is? This is why he gave millions of dollars to the border and ICE. And if you don't know, ICE is giving out $50,000 signing bonuses, guys. If you want to be an ICE operative, if you want to be the up to America, you can get a $50,000 signing bonus, and I'm pretty sure you don't get that $50,000 right away. It's probably in a contract within like a year or so. But that's terrible. So they're wasting our tax money to fund this ICE raid that no one is asking for. We also have to understand is that it's expensive. Donald Trump wants to remove 1 million people, 1 million undocumented migrants here in America. Not even undocumented migrants, even documented migrants. He wants to deport 1 million people a year. That costs $17 million a year to do, because each person is $17,000 to remove. 17,000 times 1 million is 17 million, gang. 17 million. It just doesn't make any sense. We're spending all this money on all these things while undocumented migrants give revenue of about $100 million to America. The government makes $100 million in tax revenue from undocumented migrants' taxes. But F it. Let's cut the 100 mil and let's spend 17 million a year for Donald Trump's unimaginable mass deportation that's not happening. He's failing at that too. But with that 17 million, Donald Trump also wants to build a damn ballroom, a ballroom that doesn't make any damn sense. And why I say it doesn't make any damn sense that we have a ballroom, he claims that he's spending only $200 million on his ballroom out of his pocket and patriotic donors, right? Gotta take a breather. If you read the statement, the White House statement about this ballroom, it says that the Secret Service is going to add modifications and security into this ballroom. We're paying for this ballroom. We have to pay for the security. If the president's in a ballroom, it has to be secured. You know who's paying for that? Us. $200 million my ass. Statistics also shows that when you renovate things, when you're building things, the cost that you think it's gonna happen isn't gonna be the actual cost. It's gonna be more expensive. It's gonna be more expensive. But we're not talking about that. We're not talking about that, right? Donald Trump is just trying to move us from the goalposts. And then if you don't know, he's also trying to sue I forgot who he's trying to sue. Jack, the guy who actually is trying to investigate Donald Trump's January 6th riot, the insurrection, which was terrible. The insurrection was terrible, guys. It was terrible. If you don't know about it, check out some videos, read some articles in there. It's horrible. We may even get into it someday in these podcasts. But Jack, and I forgot exactly what his role was. His job was to investigate Donald Trump's January 6th insurrection and his part in doing it. And Donald Trump is claiming that he was doing it for political reasons, which goes against the Hatch Act, which basically says that civil servants cannot get into political activities during their job, right? But they're saying that this individual was doing that, which makes no sense. Donald Trump is investigating everyone but the Epstein. Isn't that weird? He wants to investigate everyone but the actual person that everyone wants to be investigated. He wants to investigate Obama and his administration. He wants to investigate Jack. He wants to investigate schools, and they're losing $200 million, but he wants to spend $200 million of his hard-earned money on a ballroom. Put it in taxes. Instead of spending that money on a ballroom, put it in taxes, guy. We're going to get broke. The one big beautiful bill is taking over $4 trillion from the actual government that we don't have. It doesn't make any sense. But in a sense, what we need to understand is that everything that's happening right now is a problem that has to get fixed. And we're going to get in a conversation, especially when we talk about the rise of Donald Trump and MAGA. We're going to get in these conversations in later episodes, guys. But thank you so much for this episode. I don't have an outro yet. We're still working on that. But thank you so much. We're actually going to be dropping videos every Friday. So this video may be dropping early. If it is, hey, to make sure you show some love. Tell me how I did. You know what I'm saying? But we're going to get more comfortable with this. I'm actually super excited. But make sure you show some love. If you don't follow me in any of my social medias, you can at SimpleBlackTheory. Again, it's at SimpleBlackTheory. No caps, all together. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram. We may make other places like Substack. We'll see. If there's any questions, any topics that you want me to talk about, you can hit me in my DMs on Instagram. I tend to communicate more people on there, so hit me in my DMs on there, guys. It'd be dope. Also, thank you so much. The first episode wouldn't have been done for you guys. A lot of people have been saying that they want a podcast. A lot of people saying they've been wanting this opportunity. They want more leftist podcasts out here. I know there's a lot of podcasts out there already, but why not another one, right? Why not another one? So thank you so much again, guys. The podcast is going to be a great thing, and it's going to get better. The quality is going to get better. The sound is going to get better. We're going to have some guests. We're going to have some people who's going to be co-hosting with me, recurring. It's going to be amazing, guys. Thank you so much, and make sure you lock in, fuck niggas. Peace.